What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again, coming at you with another Summoners War video. As you guys can see, we have graciously dropped another 50 points from 1800 to 1751 here back to Conqueror 2. So in today's video, I want to talk about some of the common struggles I've been having that I think relates to a lot of you guys that are having a hard time maintaining a specific rank in RTA. Some of which we can control and some of which we can't. Now, I think the biggest thing, the one thing that everybody continuously forgets to talk about is just talking about the basic fundamentals of RTA, understanding how to build a proper team, understanding the synergy of how your team works, making sure that you're creating a team that if they ban a specific unit, it's not going to hurt you all too much. You'll still have another option for buffs or defense break or a strip or something of the sort here. Understanding that basic fundamentals. And then the one thing that really hurts me, and you guys have seen this many times on Twitch, right, is the aspect of the pick and ban pace, most notably the ban. Taking a look at their comp, really analyzing it and seeing which one is essentially a hard counter to your comp and which one's just the biggest threat, right? And I think that is something that will just come over time, being able to take the time to really get those 30 wings in and day out, and seeing what people come at you with the same basic teams that you use will give you a better understanding of not just how your team works, but also how people look at it and try to counter it, right? So that's probably the number one thing. The number 2 and 3 thing that I think also is something that we can control, but not something that we can get on a consistent basis, is of course the runes, the rune quality, the rune quantity. What you can do if you're looking to really put an emphasis into it is prioritizing your runes so that you can have some of the strongest runes on your monsters. And of course you're going to be wanting to focus on the monsters, right, that you probably have the most chance, or the biggest success of winning. Some of you guys like to play around with fun toys and put some investment runes into that, but they don't really synergize well with the majority of your other units. You're looking for some of those really versatile units that you can incorporate regardless if somebody picks one of your unit or not, right? So that's some of the things that I kind of deal with on a regular basis, and kind of thinking about that and putting that all together, I wanted to talk about a clip, an RTA clip that we did today, and basically try to talk about my biggest flaws. My biggest flaws, without question, is the pick and ban bans. I still don't ban properly. I still make a choice, but it's not generally the top choice. It could work, but there's still generally a better option here. And I realize it, after we get 2 or 3, attacks into the match here. And so for the people that kind of know my strategy, if you guys have seen me on RTA on stream or whatnot, when it comes to my first turn cleave or whatnot, I've been using basically a single target, damage dealing comp, something like CR, Bastet, Daphnis, Odin, and Draco. I'm using something of that nature. As far as like AoE CC cleave, generally something like we got Tiana, Gani, Varad, Rika, and then Chiwu if I need a double strip, or if not, I fill in the void with like a Jean or a Ethna or a Helena as a secondary option there. So those are my main 2 teams. But the funny thing about it is that when I think about those teams, they're really 2 strong teams, but because of how I talked about those first 3 topics, the team building, the rune quality, the rune quantity, if there's one thing that really sets me back from the rest of my competition, is that my rune quantity is definitely not where it needs to be. So even if I invest, specific runes into these units, right, and I can make them super strong, the one time I load up with that, CR Bastet, and somebody picks a Daphnis, or Draco or something like that, I'm just like, oh crap, there we go. Because regardless of what units I pick and try to change my strategy, it could hurt me, because I basically set those runes on those units to basically do what I do every single time to get me allowed to climb up here. So basically I want to use that to segue into this video, because basically that's kind of what happened with this match that I want to show you guys. This match showed me that the combination that I decided to use could be a potentially work if I decide to actually switch some things over and make it a little bit better here. So we're going to analyze it real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and then we're going to go ahead and look at my current runes as well as what I can do to improve it. Yeah, so this is it right here. So let's go ahead and watch this one. Now, the first pick CR, it was something that I generally do for my cleave, but once I saw them pick Bastet, I went ahead and kept things simple with Vanessa Fran. Now, I saw the Odin Perna, got a little scared, so I wanted to get rid of Odin because I have a hard time dealing with them, and even though I saw that Diana last pick, which is a serious hard counter to my comp, I just wanted to gamble and see if I can control it. Now, you guys have seen me play with the Miyang before. Miyang is a damage build. Miyang is kind of a sleeper, and so I'm hoping that I can do a good amount of damage and get the job done here. Now, funny enough, as you guys can see, I kind of went for the Perna right there. Diana's just a pain in the butt, and I'm giving her attack bar all day, but Perna is just outrageously gross, right? And so I didn't want to deal with it, and I was trying to see, how well we can, or how quickly we can knock it out on this one. So, funny enough, as weird as this comp looks, I think it has the potential to be really good for me if I decide to invest some runes in it. We got just about everything we need. We got immunity, we got beneficial effects, we got a way to extend it. Since we're only running one, we got the ability to strip, stun. We got a couple of units out there that are potential sleepers if I decide to go like full support and maybe one damage dealer like we did with CR, and keep this setup here now. The current setup as we go right now, I have like I said, I guess I'll go ahead and show you the runes after we're done. You can just kind of see how this was. There was a couple of I think it was a couple of misplays on my part. Plays that I ended up gambling on, just like essentially leaving the Diana alone like that, and letting the Perna, trying to get the Perna out the way might have been the thing that struggled me. But you saw there, I think there was a couple of times where I got super unfortunate, wasn't able to get that last little bit of damage in to take it out. I think one of them is going to be coming here versus this Diana, which I think it's right now, where I had the potential to throw beneficial effects, but as you guys can see, I try to reduce the attack bar here to let my Vanessa come through, get the damage on the defense break, take it out, and we weren't able to do it. So Diana should have dropped right there, being able to save the Fran if we actually landed those attack not the attack break, but sorry, the attack bar reduction didn't work, unfortunately. That really hurt me for this match. I felt like if I was able to take Diana right there, between Vanessa and Sonaris, we probably could have got the job done here. So I'll go ahead and end it right there. As you guys can see, you already know we already lost this one. I think it was a couple of misplays early on, but I think one of the biggest things that really led me to lose this one was the missing that attack bar reduction on Diana. Now, take a look at the runes. I actually, as weird as it looks, I actually think that this team, that team has the potential to do well, and it reminds me of Foie, right? It's kind of that Foie kind of creative build where you're bringing 4 support units and some kind of like severe damage dealer, but they're like, oh hey, I got you because I'm gonna go ahead and knock out, or I'm gonna ban your damage dealer, and I got no problem here. But it's those units that are support. That are generally built in a support fashion, but you have it built in a different way to provide you more damage, and still just be able to keep up with the sustain that you need to make it to those later stages of the round. So first one that we're going to be looking at is Vanessa here. Now Vanessa on my end, Violent Will, Speed, Crit Rate, HP. Now this one here, the reason why I don't have these same stats alongside like a little extra critical damage is because I just can't make it work without maintaining the speed, the effective HP, so on and so forth. So this is something that I think I need to improve. This is something that you see commonly with every RTA, PvP Vanessa build. They're all basically going with critical damage here. Bruiser build with a critical damage, speed, crit damage, HP, with well-rounded stats, just so that this unit can scale really well over time. I've said it before in previous videos. The reason why I run critical rate versus critical damage is if I can't get enough critical rate to justify running critical damage, I want to go ahead and at least get some consistent damage and being able to crit with those hits there on the first and second skill. The next unit that we'll look at here is Sonaris, and I want to kind of lead into this one because this is one that there's a lot of people throwing some thought process into this one. This is another one in my humble opinion that if you want to go with a damage build, you definitely can. But if you happen to have the runes, or maybe you don't have the runes to go critical damage, and you want to just run a very tanky unit or whatnot, you can make it work. I think you've seen it in Guild War, you've seen it in RTA. This unit's basically hitting anywhere from, I think I hit that perna for 20k without a defense defense break on it. But a lot of the Guild War showcases I've done with this one, it's anywhere between 33 to 35k defense broken when he has a defense buff. And I think the defense leads. So I mean the defense is without question super high. But what I want to point out here is that there is no critical damage build on this one, yet he still does a really fair amount of damage. So I think he's still going to do an excessive amount of damage for you, even if you don't have him really built. And I think you can make the argument on both ends, whether you go regular build or crit damage build, because he has that unique passive that doesn't allow him to get, you know, smashed. It allows him to come back here so that he's not wasted, you know, assuming his effective HP is a little bit lower and you could decide to go with the damage build. So if you do have Tanaris, I think you should play around with it a little bit more. I think people understand how strong he is, but I think for me, in what I'm trying to do now, I need to probably consider mixing up some runes and seeing if I can maybe get these same stats with a little bit higher critical rate if I can't run the critical damage, or get the critical rate and critical damage if I can. Yeah. The next one that we got up in our lineup is going to be Miang. Now Miang, again, similar to Tyrannus, is going to be a nice little sleeper if we decide to build her in a damage fashion, which is the way I have her right now. But unfortunately, I don't have her on a violent set. So you guys have seen a couple videos prior to. We threw her on a rage focus set, just simply put because we can get the all around decent stats with the speed that I was looking for. But if I had to make some adjustments, I definitely would try to do what I'm trying to do now. But like I said, even add a little bit more critical damage, and even probably toss up a little bit more speed here. Now I was going back and forth in my head about how I wanted to go about building this one. Do I want this to follow like a Vanessa per se, so I can get a one-shot on a particular unit, or should I make her a little bit on the faster end so we can scale a little bit higher with the skill 2 and also have that ability to strip the other opponent and possibly get the attack bar so that we can follow through? I think I probably will speed turn it to go after my defense breaker so that we can have that potential to kill. But I'm curious to hear you guys' feedback on that. Like I said, I'm going to be playing around with some things, and hopefully we can find something to work with this one. But for those of you guys, I want to put it out there, for those of you guys that have this one built for R5 and maybe you don't use it because you've been playing around with the KB5 or QB5 or whatever, I wouldn't put this one onto the side. I think that she still has a pretty good, kit overall. I think her damage potential is actually really absurd considering how generally most people, you know, don't build her, right? They don't build her in a damage build. I think she's a fun unit to play around with. And then last but not least, we don't need to really talk about this one. You guys already know what it is. We have Fran, the Light Fairy King. Now Fairy Queen, whatever. So she is without question one of my top 2 rune units right now, as far as having another violent will set with speed. So we're running the speed, HP here. Nothing really to put it out there. Would like to get a little bit more defense. I don't have any defensive grinds on some of these runes that I need to get a fair amount of speed in, but overall, I don't really want to make any changes here outside of maybe a little bit of accuracy, but she's sitting really good with where all my units are at, just making sure that I get the first turn, her being the first turn to provide the immunity for everybody else, especially for a unit like Tyrannus that doesn't have, is not rocking a will set on this time. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, guys, as far as, making that kind of mid-game bruiser-ish kind of team, and seeing what I can play around with some of my units that can outlast the opponent here, providing all the mechanics that I need to get the job done and save my units when it comes to like death prevention and whatnot here. So let me know what you guys think about that. I'm looking forward to kind of mixing it up and playing around with something else. If you guys have a different idea with regards to my monster box here, let me know. I think you guys have seen it quite a bit. There's a couple other units in the storage, but overall, the units that you're seeing right now is the majority of the units that I play around with. Outside of Rand, this is a unit that I literally 6-starred for Sean. He wanted to make a video on it, so stay tuned, because maybe that will come down in the near future. But outside of that, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a little bit different than what we do before, but if there's one thing that I've really realized, over the course of making content for you guys over the 5 years, outside of the educational concepts or educational videos that I started out with, and then providing the entertainment feedback, I really like just sharing my experiences with you, regardless if it's good or bad. Especially the fairs, making sure that you guys, you know, see some of those and learn from my mistakes so that we can grow as a community. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you guys like these style of videos, I'll definitely continue to make those for you. Let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on that. All right, that's going to be it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Childish or ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we will see you all in the next one. I'm out.